Welcome to another episode on the channel, and here in front of me is my latest purchase. This is a 2014 Jeep Cherokee. I bought it local, and it's kind of a mess, but let's take a walk around it and see everything that's broken, get it up on the lift, see what's going on underneath, and I guess just start fixing it. Let's go. Well, quick backstory. So eventually this will probably turn into a flip, but my immediate need is I need a vehicle to drive for a couple months while I look for a new truck. My current truck is going away for reasons I can't discuss, and I needed something to backfill while I look for a used truck because I refuse to buy anything new or anything that's been built since about March of 2020 because quality really has not been great since then. So looking around Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Auto Trader, I've been looking for just small SUVs, little cars, just something to get me by. And this popped up on Facebook Marketplace about 25 minutes away from me. Like I said, it's a 2014. It was purchased new here in town, and I bought it off of the original owner. It has a bit of a sordid history. I pulled the Carfax on it, and it has been in 3 accidents. So the first accident, it was a minor accident in the rear. The previous owner backed into something, so put a bumper cover on it, no big deal. And then about a year later, there was a front end accident, a minor one. It was just a bumper cover. And then a year after that, this happened. So that was in 2017, and I talked to the husband of the driver, and he said, yeah, my wife keeps wrecking it, so we just didn't bother fixing it again. So they just drove it like this for about 5 years. And now it has some electrical gremlins and some other issues which I'll talk about, and he said, we just bought a new car and we're done with it. But even though she ran it into a bunch of things, and the outside looks kind of crappy at the moment, they religiously maintained it. So they took it to the dealer that they bought it from here in South Carolina. Every oil change, 6,000 miles on the dot, oil change tire rotations. It has pretty new Falcon tires on it. So they kept up on the maintenance, and there's a few service records in it, and they just kept throwing money at it. They weren't very mechanically inclined people, so they always took it to the dealer. Let's take a look around the outside of it. So if we start in the front, most obvious is some damage here. I'm gonna have to pull, I've already got the hood partially open. So the hood obviously needs to be replaced, but I need to take off some of this trim and the bumper cover to see if there's any damage further back. I looked through here earlier, and there's at least a headlight bracket that's broken, but this is pretty light damage. It shouldn't be too much in there. And then we look down the sides. There's some door dings in it, so we could get those taken out with PDR if we want. Got scratches down like the whole side of the car, but these are pretty light. See, the paint's pretty dull, but should be able to buff that out. Should be able to get most of these out. It's not through the clear, so I should be able to get those out. Little scuff on the bumper, not too noticeable. And it was parked outside all of its life and run through automatic car washes, so I'm gonna have to do quite a bit of work on the roof. And for some reason, the hatch has been debadged poorly, so I'll have to take care of that. Need a roof antenna. This side, like the other side, we got scratches pretty much down the whole side of it. A couple dings, take that out with PDR. That'll come out with maybe some wet sanding and buffing. Same up here. And we've got a broken mirror glass. Those are cheap on eBay. This fender's okay. I'm gonna try to save this fender. It just has the bumper pushed into it and creased it. The paint is cracked, and there's a little kink right here. So when I put the new hood on it, I'm gonna see if I can get underneath it and kind of pull it up and tap on this to get it to come up where it's supposed to be. The lights all look okay. This one just needs to be reset. So well, that's not the headlight, it's the running light. This bracket's probably broken and has the headlight out of position. All right, so now on the inside, it looks a little bit worn, but it's not, put it this way, I've had much worse cars. So it needs a good scrubbing. It's relatively clean, but you can tell that it's never had like a good cleaning. The seats should clean, but I may end up replacing this driver's seat for an issue I'll talk about later with an electrical issue. But yeah, the steering wheel's just kind of grimy and the dash and everything. It's a non-smoker's car, but it's just a bit grimy, and it smells like a Yankee Candle, so it was definitely driven by a basic white woman. Now if we move to the back, door panels are in nice shape, back seat's in nice shape. They had kids, but they didn't trash it, so the carpet's clean. So the interior shouldn't take too much to recondition. I do need to replace the driver's sun visor. It was ripped off the ceiling for some reason, but overall, interior's not bad. So now let's take a quick listen to the engine, and we'll see all of our warning lights. This thing's trying to be a BMW. So we've got a check engine light, parking brake light, a brake light, a flashing tire pressure monitor, a restraint system warning, and the odometer is flashing. So luckily I brought my tablet with Alpha OBD on it, and I ran the codes on all of these. So the check engine light is for the active grille shutters, which the plug for the motor has been ripped off in the accident, so that one makes sense. And we'll move to the back and I'll talk about the brake warning. The tire pressure monitor is a dead TPMS sensor, and the restraint control warning light is showing an open circuit in the driver's seat airbag. So the driver's seat, it has a hole in it. So I may try just going to LKQ and just buying a whole seat and swapping it and see if that works. If not, then if that doesn't fix it, then I'll probably have to start tracing wires. But that's hopefully just a wire issue in the seat. So now let's move to the back and I'll talk about the brake warning lights. All right, so in the back, I've already got the trim out of it. The previous owner told me he took it to the Chrysler dealer, and they diagnosed having an issue with the parking brake control module. And if we look down in there, you can see it's very corroded for some reason. There's no mold, there's no mildew, there's no dampness anywhere over here in any of the insulation. So I have no idea how the top of that module got corroded and the inside of the connector. So the dealer, they just put a piece of electrical tape over it and left it like that. It's in their notes on the work order, it just says that moisture was found in this area, and they're just going to leave it unplugged until the moisture problem is taken care of. So I guess I will go to the pull apart. There's a Cherokee over there. Hopefully it has this module in it. I'll see if I can just swap it and clean up the contacts on the plug, and maybe it'll fix the parking brake issue. But let's get it up on the lift and take a look at some mechanical stuff, and then I'm gonna start pulling the front off of it. So from the mechanical side, tires are pretty new. The front brakes were just done. The back brakes, I'm not sure, I can check on that, but they're not making any noise and it stops straight and smooth. But in the engine bay, you can see we've got the little 2.4. It runs really well, it shifts fine. The 9 speeds in these are not known for shifting real well, but it does decent. And from the top side, the only leak that I noticed is this one coolant line over here. So right here, this one, it's seeping at the top and it's seeping at a connection down below. And that thing looks like a nightmare to replace. I don't know if I'm gonna do anything about that, but I can see, like looking down through this opening, there's a place on the top of the block that has a little dip to it, and it's just full of pink dried coolant. So it's definitely leaking, and the coolant bottle is almost empty, so it needs to be addressed before it blows and really causes an issue. Here we are under the car. For the most part, things look pretty good. All the boots are in good shape on the CVs. I moved all of the, I pulled and pushed on the wheels. There's no clunking, there's no looseness anywhere. We do have some active leaks that it looks like. So I'm not sure if the transmission is the drain plug or if the case itself is leaking, but we'll call that some seepage, not necessarily a leak. So I'll clean that up and just let it go for now. Maybe take it, if it looks like it's coming from the drain plug, then I'll take it for a, maybe take it for a fluid change. Even though it's supposed to be lifetime service, $75,000, it wouldn't hurt it to do it. Now, the biggest thing is this oil leak. I got under here and looked with the camera, or looked with the flashlight, and I really can't see anything obvious. So it's pooling on the bottom of the oil filter, so I thought, well, the oil filter is loose, but it's dry all around the top. If you look up in there with the flashlight, it's pretty dry above the pan. So it's kind of wet around the pan, so it's either the oil pan gasket or they did an awful job when they changed the oil and they left a bunch of residual oil and it blew all over this, which happens. It happened to me on my truck that is going away. The same dealer did an oil change, didn't wipe anything down, and oil blew all over the exhaust and smelled like a burning truck for a week. And then also left off a lug nut on the tire rotation, but it's a different story. So I'm not sure. I checked the drain plug, it's tight. Like I said, the oil filter's tight. And this is all just kind of an oil film. It's not wet, but it's pooling on the bottom of the filter and on the bottom of the pan back by the plug. So I don't know, I'll clean it up, and it just had an oil change, so I'll clean it up and keep an eye on it and leave it at that for now. But underneath, this is a South Carolina truck or car, so there's zero rust anywhere. And the tires are 2021 builds. They're in good shape. The wear is pretty even. The owner said make sure you keep them rotated because it chews up front tires. That could be the driving style of his wife, though. Backs look good. The rear, zero rust. Everything looks good. I pushed and pulled back here too. There's no clunks or anything like that. And when I drove it home, I made sure to hit some bumps and things, and there's no clunks or squeaks or anything in the suspension. So I think that stuff is all good. So I guess now that we've taken a look at that, I'm gonna get it down on the ground and pull the bumper off of it to see what all's broken behind the bumper so I can get a parts list. And with that, the disassembly is nearly complete. I've at least got it far enough apart that I can see everything that I need. So at a quick glance, it's really not that bad, but It needs a few more brackets and stuff that I didn't anticipate. This upper radiator shroud, it's cracked over here. Got to get one of those. Headlight bracket, need one of those. It's broken. This air deflector, it goes on the side of the radiator. Grab one of those. Obviously the bumper, upper and lower pieces. I need the grill, and there's a trim piece that goes around. The fog lights are good. And if we look on the back side, the active grille shutter is broken, so I need a new one of those. It's a whole assembly that goes across there. And the check engine light, as I mentioned before, was on because of an active grille shutter problem. And as we can see, in the accident, the wire harness was severed. So I can patch that wire back together and we'll be good to go. Got another trim piece that goes across the top of the radiator. The daytime running light or turn signal, it's okay. And the headlight is, for the most part, okay, but two of the tabs are broken off of it. There's one on the bottom and one on the top that are broken. I still have those, so I can put it back together. It's not a big deal. I put them back on the headlight bracket so I wouldn't lose them. And also this energy absorbing bar down here, I need to replace it. So it's just 3 bolts and it comes off, and that's pretty cheap. So the bumper reinforcement, it's okay. It wasn't a hard enough hit. And one thing I do need to repair, I mentioned at the beginning, it looked like this fender was rolled a little bit, and it is. The front's down a little bit. So once I get a new hood and these associated brackets, then I can put the running light back in it up here and put the hood on it, and then try to pull this back up to where it's supposed to be. And I talked to my buddy that does paint work, so he's gonna paint. I found a used hood and a used bumper, so he said he can paint the hood and the bumper, and we'll blend in the top of the fenders. So if we need to do any repair work right in this area, then he'll already be blending in that area, so it should come out pretty nice. I think this is a good stopping point for this video. So we've had a good introduction to the Jeep, everything that's wrong with it. We've got it apart now to see what all was damaged in the front, and in the next videos we'll start putting it back together. We'll get the paint work done, we'll tackle the electrical gremlins, we'll detail it. So like and subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything going on with this project.